Interesting matchup here as the Chileans take on the United States as Group C action getting underway in the Copa America 95 in Uruguay. We'll be back with play-by-play action right after this.
Vamos a hacer una pausa, amigos. Regresamos ya con las incidencias de la primera parte. No se vaya, volvemos enseguida.
And as you can tell, we are underway in Paysandú, Artigas Monumental Stadium. The United States dressed in the white uniforms, moving from the right to the left, dressed in the red uniforms with the blue shorts, moving from the left to the right. The Chilean squad. Give you a quick check on that starting lineup yet again. Keller in goal. Quick foul against the Chileans and a quick restart from Alexi Lalas. Keller in goal. Balboa, Lalas, Burns, and Caligiuri in the defense. Anchoring the defensive side of the midfield, Thomas Dooley. John Harkes also out there. Claudio Reyna, Ernie Stewart, Eric Winalda also seeing action along with Mike Sorber in the defensive side of things. The throw-in intended for Sorber, taken away. Quick check on the Chilean starters. Marcelo Ramirez, Mendoza, Vilches, Margas anchoring the defense along with Paraguay's. In the midfield, Ramirez, Guevara, Valencia, and up front, Basai, Estay, and Salas. On the far side, the Chileans pushing hard and pushing back the United States. Eric Winalda will have to surrender. It will be a free kick as the foul against the U.S. Taken away, dropped back to Keller, his first touch of the night. A little bit of static over the natural sound you are getting from Paysandú. As we mentioned earlier today, quick break in for the Chileans. Valencia right at the edge of the box. Twist, turn, shot blocked out of the area. The United States, the lone team in this particular group, staying in the actual community of Paysandú, and with their frequent forays into the town, accessible for autographs, the Uruguayans have taken a liking for this young squad.
I think that's the kind of feeling that a player likes. They go abroad, but they have still people coming up to them, friendly faces. It kind of edges the tension of being away from home.
Paul Caligiuri on the near side, anchoring the left side of the defense. There you see Paul Caligiuri dropping back, getting set for the throw. Near side, it'll be John Harkes throwing it down the line. Eric Winalda in the corner. Winalda trying to get it back to Harkes, and it's stolen away. Gabriel Mendoza taking it away for the Chileans and turning it back upfield quickly. U.S. sticking with the same basic lineup that was available for U.S. Cup 95. Into the area. Winalda tries to push forward. Can't quite control. The ball still not out of danger, though. Finally cleared away by Vilches, 32-year-old defensive player from Necaxa of Mexico. Going up front towards another Necaxa player and tripped down to the turf. Mike Burns coming over from the right side. You saw number 11. That's Ivo Basai. That is the one player that the U.S. will have to worry about. Salas looking for a penalty kick. They're going to say Burns was the one with the foul. It will be a free kick right on the edge of the area for the Chileans, in a dangerous opportunity in the early going.
Let's not forget that Burns, is still learning this position. I think he got caught ball watching there, and hopefully that's not going to pay off for the Chileans.
Fabian Guevara teeing it up. Right next to him, the ever-dangerous Esteban Valencia. 23-year-old midfielder right now playing for Universidad de Chile. He will probably get a chance to see even more action, perhaps follow some of his countrymen back overseas, especially if he has a good Copa America. Valencia will leave it. The curling shot grabbed by Keller on the back post. Fabian Guevara decides to shoot it himself, and Keller there on the back door in perfect position to try and keep the U.S. scoreless. So right now Marcelo Balboa controlling the defensive side, and a little bit of perhaps an error on the placement of the wall, but regardless, Casey Keller saw that all the way.
Well, it gives the goalkeeper an opportunity to get involved in the game early on, give him a feel for what's going on.
Alexi Lalas all the way on the right side. He will drop it back. Beside pressures. Cleared out. Kept in danger, though, by the Chileans, and a handball on the deflection against Lalas. It'll be a free kick for the Chileans. Near side, Ramirez sending it to Mendoza. 27-year-old Colo-Colo defender dropping it back to Valencia. They'll switch it back towards the left side of the field. Mistrapped by Margus, but no one there to take it off his boot. Finally jogging over for the U.S. Pass toward and a shot towards Keller in the near post. And Casey Keller having an early day of it.
What I think is going to be interesting is, let's not forget that Burns has played about half a dozen games at that position. And even though he's gotten better and better in each game, it's going to be interesting how far he pushes up during this game. And it'll tell you how comfortable he feels at that position. Of course, his natural position being a central midfielder.
Javier Margus pushing it forward. Mendoza now getting it towards Salas. Salas will switch it back towards the far side, and there to grab hold, Fabian Estay passes into space, and coming up from the midfield, Guevara tries to cross it. Lalas there. Can he control and get it out of the danger? And the Padova defender blasts it across midfield. In fact, perhaps a little bit too far. Eric Winalda saying keep it down. The Chileans have the ball back. Once again, a reminder, Prime Deportiva bringing you a courtesy rebroadcast of the United States game against Chile. The first leg of the Group C action between these two squads, immediately following an Argentine victory over Bolivia. Hard tackle, Winalda trying to keep it in play. Successful. Guarded by Ramirez, tries to move past him. Ball over the end line, a corner kick for the U.S.
We would expect to see both Lalas and Balboa for this header, along with probably Dooley.
And Winalda has been taking a lot of the corners since coming back from Germany. This time, however, it's John Harkes towards the spot. Lalas was there, but headed clear by the Chilean defense. Could be offsides, but no. Headed into the area. Balboa trying to keep the pressure on. Out towards Salas, and the Chileans turn it upfield. Perhaps a little bit too fast for Valencia. Almost loses it. Now the left-footed pass into space. Basai had it. Keller comes out, deflects it high in the air. And Cello there to control. Still not out of danger, though. Ernie Stewart coming back on defense. And the Chileans have had much the better of the play here in the early going. Salas sending it to Basai. Basai, double team, slows it down. Getting the overlap from Valencia. Salas on the far side. They'll try and find him. He'll drop it back. Paraguez. Now to the defender, Mendoza. Into space. Offsides called as the U.S. pulls the trap.
There, Chile having about a dozen passes to push the ball side to side, waiting for the open space. Look very similar to what Colombia likes to do. Bring that ball from one side to the other, hoping for an opening down the middle.
The game originally set for tonight, Mexico against Uruguay for the nation's capital, Centennial Stadium in Montevideo. However, as we've mentioned throughout the tournament, it has been a rather wet winter, and it is raining yet again. Raining so hard that they have postponed that game until tomorrow. For information on when that Mexico-Uruguay game will be rebroadcast, call your local cable company. Slide tackle by Burns in the overlap. Can't get it before it goes over the end line. Winalda was open in the middle. It will be a goal kick for Chile.
The rumors about Eric Winalda starring in Victory 2 based on that haircut are just that, rumors.
Of course, I'm sure his mother likes this one a little bit better than the one he had a few inches ago. Into the corner of the box, charging out Casey Keller just in front of Marcelo Salas. 20-year-old from Universidad de Chile had the chance, but Keller there to grab it away.
Keller in his first few games back is probably seeing more action than he probably ever bargained for being off the team for the last 3 years. Definitely has had a lot of opportunities to get a feel for that ball in this game so far.
And Keller, mainly known as a stay-at-home keeper, guarding the line keeper, showing some aggressiveness and I guess taking a few chances here in the early going.
I think Casey realized that Marcelo likes to call the offside trap a lot, so I think he's aware that he's going to have to come off his line a little bit more often than he's used to back in England.
Be a free kick for the Chileans. About 35 yards away from their own goal, 11 minutes gone. Still scoreless, U.S. against Chile. Headed forward, Mendoza putting it into a dangerous area, running on after the return pass from Basai. But Keller there to blast it away towards the near touch. Keeping it in, Harks with a nice touch, but the ball stolen right off of his foot. Vilches passing it over, and Paraguay's now with it. Into the middle, down into the corner. Basai coming out into the wing position. Fakes the left-footed cross, brings it back to the right foot. And right on the line to grab it, Casey Keller. It looked like it was intended to be a cross, but he got a little bit too much of it and almost had a shot on goal.
Keller's probably wondering, is this what it's going to be like, and did I really miss as much as I thought?
The United States lucky to be scoreless at this point thanks to some acrobatic saves by Casey Keller. Long pass up front, parried away by the Chileans. Vilches, 32-year-old Necaxa defender. Both Vilches and Basai playing for the Mexican League champs this past year. But Basai, if one of the larger teams and more noted teams of his native country can get the money together, he will be returning back home to play for Colo-Colo next year. There have been a lot of moves this past offseason. We'll see if we get a chance to run those down for you a little bit later on. But right now, about 15 minutes gone in the first half, and Vilches with the ball for the Chileans. Unlucky not to be on the board to this point. Miguel Ramirez into the middle. Valencia, the midfield general so far today. Into space. Salas trying to run on. Lala shielding him off, and Keller there to grab hold. Lawless getting the outlet pass. Dangerous area. Whenever you're a keeper and you're passing in your own box, the heart rate goes up. Out to Dooley. A rare touch for Thomas. But into space, an opportunity for a hard-charging Ernie Stewart. Over touch and throw-in for the United States. Lawless with a quick toss into the box, headed back out of danger. The U.S. moving from the right to the left in their white uniforms with the blue stripe across the chest. Pass into the space towards the spot. Mike Sorber, the anchor of the defensive midfield, and passing it up front. A little bit too much for Johnny Harks. Once again, a reminder, if you're tuning in late for the Uruguay-Mexico game, the final leg of Group A, that game will be held tomorrow afternoon, and we will be offering it on pay-per-view. For more information on when it will be aired, call your local cable company for details. Pass into the middle. Winalda with the tuck-in on the near post. A beautiful cross, and Eric Winalda gives the U.S. the lead.
Great passing and great timing on that play. Not only in the last cross, but you look at the way everybody slowly moved up into the attacking third. One pass after the other. In fact, I think it was Bernsey who ended up putting the last ball into Stewart. So obviously Bernsey feels a little bit more comfortable pushing forward. But a great goal by the Americans. Some nice rhythm. There, I guess Winalda very excited and letting his team know that he's happy to be back there.
And Bernsey, the cross, low, driven, and right at the near post, Marcelo Ramirez. But he did not see Winalda on the wraparound, as he tucked it in the back of the net and pointing straight at Steve Sampson, as you might have seen, saying that one's for you. The U.S. with the 1-0 lead, their first shot on goal, and they get the lead.
Something very encouraging also about that goal is not only Ronaldo was at that near post, but United States had 2 other players in the box. So that gives you an indication that there are some people trying to finish off what we're starting now.
Once again, Valencia. Far side, Claudio Reyna. Push to the turf, play on, says the referee. Salas, offside. Basai also apparently across the line. And Balboa, as you said, likes to use that trap, and the U.S. has not been burned to this point. The Chileans have been caught on at least 3 occasions.
That's one thing that Marcelo has done very well over the years, and obviously he feels comfortable with it because he keeps calling it about 5 or 6 times a game.
Near side, Caligiuri. Drops it towards Marcello. Balboa blasting it up front. Over 100 caps for Marcelo Balboa. Many wondered if he'd ever play again. Harks tries to cross it in with the left foot, wins it back, doesn't have a chance to do it with the right foot. Valencia steals it away, coming back in the defensive side, but the outlet pass taken away by Dooley. Cleared away by the Chilean defense, and Fabian Estay tries to give the Chileans an offensive charge. Ivo Basai, Salas. Basai running towards that side. Instead, Salas will blast it away. And well over the bar, drawing the whistles from the crowd in Paysandú. Casey Keller getting set for the goal kick, if they can get the ball back. Once again, you have to consider this a little bit of a mark in Casey Keller's honor after a solid performance in the U.S. Cup in his one game. It had been Brad Friedel's job, and to this point, I guess you could still argue that he has not fully lost it. But head coach Steve Sampson had said he would alternate. And Casey Keller, after being shut out in the cold during World Cup 1994 by Bora Milutinovic, has to feel a little bit happier about his standing right now for the red, white, and blue. Pushing forward, cutting through from Valencia. Salas trying to track it down. It goes just on the throw-in side of the flag, and Chile will have it.
Well, Keller couldn't have picked a better game or a more dramatic fashion to come back to the United States in a 4-0 victory where he had some very key saves against Mexico. Hopefully he can build on that in this tournament.
Having some very good saves early on. Long pass towards the box, chested down. Johnny Harks back on the defense. Many people say that's where he'll end up before his career is over. And playing it out nicely to Thomas Dooley. The back heel flick on a return pass from Winalda, just off target as he apologizes to the senior member of this U.S. squad. Dooley, while he might be playing a defensive midfield role, will go upfield. And as you can hear, Steve Sampson screaming in the background, go up front, go up front. Reyna's pass just a little too light. Winalda might have had an opening.
Yeah, Steve Sampson, his theory is much more attacking soccer than maybe we've seen in the past. That's the way he's always coached, and I think with having the tools now in this team with guys like Winalda, who's healthy, and Stewart, he has definitely not shy about going forward.
For those of you who might have thought you've stepped into a time chamber and gone backwards from a bad game to a good one, you might be right. The United States against Chile earlier on, first leg in Group C. Long pass up front. Intended for Johnny Harks. He breaks free. The pass into the middle towards the spot and pushed just wide. Claudio Reyna at the penalty area. Could not have had a better opportunity. Ramirez was diving the other way and Reyna misses it on the near post.
We will now know exactly what Reyna will be thinking about all night long. There you see he had a wide open goal. The goalkeeper is going to his left. Reyna tries to tuck it in but just goes a little too wide.
Claudio Reyna holding his hips. He'd been holding his head just moments ago. The U.S. narrowly missing a chance to go up 2-0. Only their second shot on goal, and right now at 50%. Steve Sampson has to like that.
Sure, the fans in Virginia like that little Cavalier connection right there.
Valencia tries the left-footed blast. Blocked away. Thomas Dooley sliding hard. Harks going up for the ball. Winaldo winning it near midfield, knocked to the turf, cleared away by Dooley. Making a run for it, Claudio Reyna on the far side. Man in the middle, looks like it's Dooley. Reyna on that left foot, instead will leave it off, cutting through Stewart. Almost return pass. Handball. Claims Dooley, play on, says the referee. The game initially set for tonight, Mexico against Uruguay, will be played tomorrow afternoon. To find out when you'll get the chance to see it from Prime Deportiva on your pay-per-view channel, call your local cable operator for details. Earlier tonight, in case you missed it, the United States, I guess you could say, a break in one regard and a disappointing result in another. We'll try and explain that a little bit as we take a closer look at the standings, but Paraguay having all they could handle from Venezuela. The Venezuelans, sacrificial lambs in this tournament, taking a 1-0 lead. The cross into the middle, blocked away by the defense, but still not out of danger as Stye has it, sending it to the near side. That's Mendoza from defense, curling towards Casey Keller, and one of the easier grabs on the night.
One thing we shouldn't forget, that even though United States hasn't played Chile that often, the coach of Chile, Escagorta, knows them very well. Bolivia played United States a few times prior to the World Cup, 3 to be specific. So he's quite familiar with the personnel of the American team, and that actually serves to the Chilean benefit.
Slightly. He still hasn't figured a way to beat him, but then again, the U.S. hasn't figured out a way to beat Escagorta all 3 games, resulting in ties. 0-0, 1-1, 2-2. Maybe 3-3 here today. Harks sending it across towards the spot, headed up in the air by Reyna. U.S. still trying to keep it in, but they cannot do so before it's cleared away by the Chileans. Looks like Valencia. He beats Lawless. The speedy midfielder turns it back with the left foot and headed up over the bar. Discretion the better part of valor in that regard. Mike Burns surrendering the corner kick. By the way, just finishing up on that earlier thought, Venezuela with the early lead. Paraguay equalizes. Paraguay takes the lead at 2-1. Venezuela equalizes, and a late goal for the Paraguayans, a 3-2 victory. So now they are tied with Uruguay with 6 points. Left-footed cross from the corner flag, headed out by Lawless. They'll do it again. What that means is it might give Uruguay a night to sleep on it and a night to realize they need a result against Mexico. And to our neighbors to the south, apologies from the U.S., but if Uruguay, as the header towards the back corner, slips through Keller's hands, he's knocked out of bounds, he let it drop and keeps it in play. Does not surrender the corner kick. Instead, it looks like they're going to call the foul against the Chilean, or else they will give him a goal kick. Regardless, Casey Keller facing another dangerous opportunity. But as far as the Mexican-Uruguayan game, which will be taking place tomorrow in Montevideo, Mexico at this point, while only having 3 points, still in decent position with 4 goals for and a +1 goal differential. A 2 or 3-0 victory by the Uruguayans could turn that in the U.S.'s favor. Down the flanks, Harks running on, hopping over the defender. Unfortunately, Ramirez coming away with it from the U.S. perspective. Valencia keeps it in bounds and sends it back towards the middle of the park. That's where Estaya will lift it up with the outside of the foot towards the far side. Into danger, Salas running on, but it trickles across the line, and it will be a throw-in for the U.S.
There, the Chilean defender brilliantly taking the ball away from Harksey. Going down the line, no foul, cleanly sweeps by, and Chile's able to get a counterattack off that opportunity.
A reminder, every single game coming your way, courtesy of Prime Deportiva, and from the second round on, however, it will be all on pay-per-view. If you'd like to find out more information on how to get the Copa America coverage, call your local cable company for details. Play-by-play provided in English and Spanish, and if you'd like to find out how to get Spanish language play-by-play, once again, call your local cable company. Dooley sliding out towards the near side. Ends up with the victory on that ball possession. Stye comes away with it now for Chile, though, and dribbles back towards the center circle, looking for an opening. Ball still on the right foot, however. Dribbles through 2 defenders, but Lawless the third one to upend him, and Marcelo Balboa slots it into space. Unfortunately, a little bit too far downfield. Ernie Stewart could not catch up.
I don't think the Chileans are going to have much success trying to penetrate the American defense down the middle, and they haven't done so as much. Obviously, they've done their homework. They know that the Americans are strong down the middle with Balboa and Lawless and Sorber and Dooley, so they're trying to attack more down the side, which I think is a smart move for Chile.
And as you can see, The U.S. has not been able to free their speedy wingers, because Ronaldo has been playing a lot of time on the outside along with Ernie Stewart. Claudio Reyna, a withdrawn forward, as the U.S. seems to be trying to go forward in waves. U.S. only called offsides once and lucky to come away without a foul there. The offside trap has kept the Chileans off the board 3 times. Valencia lifting it up into space. An opportunity for Salas running on. Mendoza, the defender, headed clear towards the back post. No one there. Looked like Basai cut in towards the spot, and Salas probably wishes he had that one back.
Well, those are one of those times where the offside trap obviously didn't work. And unfortunately for the Chileans, they did not take advantage of it. Here, you see the player wide open, brings the ball up, and you'll see at the top of your screen over to the left, player's wide open right there at the penalty spot. Maybe that was a poor choice going to the far post, but then again, hindsight.
Salas, 20-year-old forward, will have many more opportunities. Casey Keller hopes none of them come tonight. Reminder, this game is being brought to you as a courtesy of Prime Deportiva. The originally scheduled Mexico versus Uruguay third leg game of Group A, postponed due to heavy rains in the nation capital of Uruguay, Montevideo. They will be playing that game tomorrow. To find out when your local cable company will air the broadcast on pay-per-view, please call them for details. Estay taken down, but does get the pass off. It's picked off down the right side. Looks like Mike Burns coming up across the midfield stripe. Curling it in towards the spot, and just past Claudio Reyna. Reyna, the lone true front runner at this particular point, as Ernie Stewart and Eric Winalda both seem to be playing into space. Caligiuri coming up from defense, dribbles through 2, tripped by Mendoza, looking for the whistle, but play on. Pushed that ball just a little too far. Cello heading it to Lawless. Burnsy on the right side. He has been burned a number of times. In fact, widely criticized in the U.S. Cup, at least until the Colombia game, where his solid positioning preserved the tie and preserved the championship for the U.S. Heading clear, a last-minute shot by the Colombians as he was anchored on the near post. Reyna pushing it up front. A foul right at the edge of the arc. Thomas Dooley once again in the offensive flow, taken down. It'll be a free kick right from the edge of the area, just about 22 yards away.
And that, of course, is one of Dooley's strengths. Even though he's primarily considered a defensive player, he reads the game so well. Knowing when to go forward is definitely something you see Thomas Dooley doing a lot of. Of course, he picks his spots very well.
Marcelo Ramirez trying to line up the wall. Valencia getting last words of recognition from the official, trying to slow things down a little bit. Winalda, looks like Harks, Reyna, and Sorber all surrounding. Who will take the shot? Harks looks like he's lined up to take it at this moment. A 5-man wall. Looks like Thomas Dooley trying to anchor a position right in the middle of it. Winalda and Harks stepping towards the ball, but hold on. Now the whistle, and it will get underway. The curling shot from Winalda is a goal. Just under the bar. Ramirez shielded, and the U.S. is up 2-0.
Great goal by Eric Winalda. Brings back memories of what he did against Switzerland in the World Cup. And once again, he goes running to the coach.
Steve Sampson, the U.S. coach. The players have said they have no doubt who should be the next coach of the United States. Take that interim label away, and Winalda showing so with his actions both on and off the field. A beautiful curling free kick, bringing back memories of that free kick against Switzerland in U.S. Cup '94.
Well, I tell you, at this moment, the United States is probably feeling very comfortable. This is the second time in a few weeks, actually about a month, that they have been ahead in the game 2-0 in the first half. I'm sure they could grow accustomed to playing under those conditions.
Basai swinging it towards the far side. There's a man open. Keller watches it go over the bar. Well, coming up from the defense, it looks like Vilches, and he had it wide open, actually, Valencia, with the open net, and lifts it up from 6 yards out. Chile had a chance to cut the lead in half, and just missing out. Keller diving across, and apparently confused Valencia just enough. The U.S. still leads 2-0.
That definitely should have been a goal, and that would have been a great opportunity to Chile to get right back into that game and answer Ronaldo's goal.
Casey Keller with a couple of great saves to this point. That one, he just got lucky. The United States leading 2-0. Both goals from Eric Winalda. At this point, the leading goal scorer in Copa America, along with Luis Garcia of Mexico. The U.S. right now more worried about results, however, just about 12 minutes away from halftime.
And of course, playing with a 2-0 lead gives the team a lot more confidence because you feel that you're doing well. And as we see here, Harksey coming down the wing.
And Dooley feeding him. Harks brings it to his left foot, can't get the cross off, double teamed. Finally gets it into the middle. And Valencia comes away with for Chile. But Reyna showing some hard-nosed defense. Curling it towards the back post, and Stewart called offside. Free kick for the Chileans inside their own area. But the U.S., even with that 2-0 lead, continuing to attack. For those of you who might have tuned in for the Mexico-Uruguay game, rained out beyond our control. Someone upstairs had something to say about that. It will be played tomorrow. It will be broadcast on pay-per-view. To find out when your local cable company will air it, give them a call at your earliest convenience. Nice move by Mendoza. Mendoza almost breaks through into the box, but parried away, and coming away with it, Johnny Harks. Far side, Burns coming up. Sorber in the middle. Instead, he'll lift it down the line. Can Stewart get there? The answer is no. Javier Margas coming away with it. Nice sliding tackle by Estay, keeping it in Chilean possession, down the flank, and a curling cross blocked away by Marcelo Balboa, and he'll come away with it.
One of the attractive traits of the Chilean game right now that we're seeing is that they really try to attack the entire field. It's not just down the right wing or down the left. They do try to mix it up, and that gives them a very balanced attack.
Several of the other teams in this Copa America tournament do not do that, as Salas tries to harry Casey Keller. Keller will kick it into touch. It'll be a throw-in for the Chileans, and Valencia comes back to take it. The Colombians come to mind. Even the Brazilians, to some point, have been criticized for their recent offensive play, but Mario Zagallo says he's going to bring back the beautiful game. To this point, might not look it on the scoreboard, but the Brazilian fans seem to like it. In fact, in their first few games, they could have put up many more goals than the three they did. A 1-0 victory against Ecuador, a 2-0 victory against Peru, and they will be taking on Colombia tomorrow night.
And if you remember, Zagallo mentioned that his team had no obligation to go out and win every game 6-0, so he feels as long as the team plays well, in his eyes, that's the most important thing.
And they have played well everywhere but in their own offensive area. Pass down the flank. Estay tries to send it to the middle, but it's taken away by Lalas. The United States could have been burned a couple of times on offsides traps, but to this point, Chile still scoreless for the U.S. with a 2-0 lead. Down in the corner, Mendoza. 27-year-old defender into the middle. There's an opportunity for Estay. Brings it back into the middle, and Salas taken down, but play on. And immediately you hear Steve Sampson screaming forward. The U.S. avoiding a penalty kick. Slowing things down slightly on the near side, Johnny Harks, as he hands the ball right back to the Chileans.
Once again, the Chileans easily able to get behind the U.S. defense on the flanks. Obviously, it seems that that's the way they're going to try to attack this U.S. team.
Dooley lifting it into space. Reyna can't run on. It is cleared away. Near side, Miguel Ramirez. Yet another Colo-Colo defender. In fact, three of the back four play for that Chilean club, and the other is Eduardo Vilches, who just won a championship at Necaxa in Mexico. Nelson Paraguez, the 24-year-old, tosses it into the far corner. Looking for Salas, it bounced away, and the U.S. tries to get it back out. Unable to do so, though. Chileans keeping the pressure on, continuing to try and take advantage of that left side, and Mike Burns, but Lalas over there to help out. And way back, look where he is, the goal scorer, Eric Winalda. Hustling back for defense, and that had been one of the criticisms of Eric Winalda way back in World Cup 1990 in Italy.
Well, you got to remember also, Eric was a very young player back in 1990, and playing in Germany the last couple of years, and all the games he's played in the last 3 years, I think really given some experience.
Poor pass by Caligiuri, another chance for the Chileans. A nice lead on for Mendoza, but before Salas can get there, it is cleared over the end line, and a corner kick for Chile. Their third of the game, but a dangerous opportunity. We mentioned that Mike Burns getting used to the right side. Paul Caligiuri still having some jitters on the left. The header towards the far post, picked up by Keller.
If one did not know the score, you would think that Chile was ahead 2-0, judging by the amount of times they have been able to gain possession of the ball inside the U.S. box. Obviously, the score is quite different, though.
2-0 on 2 early goals by Eric Winalda. About 7 minutes in, and the next about 25 minutes in. One on a beautiful touch on the far post. The other, a curling free kick right from the edge of the arc, 22 yards away. Gabriel Mendoza tossing it in to Valencia. The Chileans controlling play in their own half, setting up another offensive charge. Margus into the middle. Estay has Valencia, he'll use him. Into space and a hard charging Basai. We're actually coming up from the defense. Mendoza on the overlap, taking advantage of the U.S. dropping back. We have not seen much of Ivo Basai of late. Mentioned Ivan Zamorano, the leading scorer in Spanish First Division, taking a vacation and not drawing the praise of his nation for doing so, but after a long season at Real Madrid and a Champions Cup berth right around the corner, decides to take a little bit of a break, and that leaves much of the goal-scoring duties to Ivo Basai and young Marcelo Salas. And to this point, they've been unable to do anything.
And the interesting story about Zamorano is at the beginning of the season, the new coach, Jorge Valdano, did not want or was not interested in Zamorano and looked to try to dump him to another club. It's a good thing for them he stayed around.
Headaches for Barcelona all season long. Here's a pass into space. Opportunity yet again. Passing it across, and it's parried away by Keller, a man on the back post. Keller deflects it just enough.
Great save there by Keller, guarding his near post, making sure he didn't give up any ground there, and then being able to make the save for a shot that looked like it was going to the far post, or maybe looking for the trailer there at the far post as well.
The U.S. right now settling in. A defensive bunker with a 2-0 lead. They've been unable to get anything offensively since they actually could be leading 3-0. As coming down the far side, Eric Winalda with the cross towards the 6-yard box and cleared away. Back into the box. Margus pressured. He'll kick it upfield towards the midfield stripe. Thomas Dooley lifting it offside.
Once again, we see a very encouraging sign in the American play there. The cross comes in, and there's 2 Americans looking to finish off that cross. That shows that they have a very offensive mentality right now, trying to go forward, trying to get men in the box.
Another chance for Valencia as he tries to set up his teammates. Drops it back for Paraguez, who's playing much of a defensive midfielder role here today. Once again, coming up from the defense, Mendoza, that one bounding over and into touch. Throw in for the United States. Chile uses their defenders well coming up from the flanks. And they have had a couple of opportunities on Casey Keller, but Javier Escagorda's team has yet to be able to take advantage. A little bit of a delay, might have a substitute or perhaps a few words. In fact, it will be. Javier Escagorda having some words with the referee. And the referee has a few back. He's the guy with the final say. Bad pass from Reyna. He'll slow down and watch. Long pass down the near side. Nice job to save it. Still in play for the Chileans. Opportunity for a cross. Guevara dropping it back. Chance for Valencia, and his shot yet again off target.
Obviously, the Chileans seeing that they've got a little bit of success going down that right wing, and I think they're going to continue to go down there until it gets plugged up. Even though they've done a good job of going both right and left side, they've had a little bit more success on the right, and my guess is they'll continue to do so until they can't do that anymore.
You mentioned Escagorda looking for a new look lineup. Did not have much success in the early going on of the friendlies leading up to Copa America. 0-0 tie against Turkey, a 1-0 loss against Paraguay, a young, more Olympic-styled team than a national team at this point. They bound back with a 3-1 win against New Zealand, a 2-1 win against Canada, and a 3-1 win against Ireland. As they try and turn things in style towards the Copa, this is their first opportunity. Hard tackle, one of the U.S. players is down. Far side, Mike Burns with a shot towards the near post and one hop and an easy handle for Marcelo Ramirez. The U.S. obviously having just as much success in its last 3 times out. 3-2 win against Nigeria, which showed the Steve Sampson style. And in fact, you heard Sampson in the background yelling, "Kick it out." They wanted to see if they could get their injured player tended to, but the Chileans quickly restart. Mendoza back to Valencia, and the left-footed cross hits the post. Keller comes out and pushes it wide. Another crack for the Chileans, and they are denied yet again by Casey Keller. The first shot looked like it hit the post. Keller might have gotten a fingertip on it. But the rebound coming straight in front. Can't quite see the finish, but Casey Keller once again in the way.
The great thing about that is not only it was a fantastic shot to watch, but the way Keller reacted, getting off the ground. Right here we may see it. We don't see it, but he gets off the ground and is able to parry the ball away before the Chilean has the opportunity to put the ball in the back of the net. Great reflexes by Keller on the second shot.
One of the drills for every single goalkeeper, but it's a little different doing it in practice and doing it in a full international, and Casey Keller does just enough to keep the U.S. with a 2-goal margin. 29 tournaments for Chile, this their 30th. Still looking, however, for their first championship. The U.S. still in the same boat, but they only have one underway, still looking for their first win. And right now, a good opportunity with a 2-0 lead. Ernie Stewart on the far side dribbles towards the corner of the box and loses it as he is triple teamed. Mendoza pushing up more and more from the defense. Mendoza had a man running, could have been offsides, but Salas slows down. The ball trickles over the end line. It will be a goal kick for Casey Keller.
Obviously, the Chileans not concerned about the score. They are continuing to go forward and looking for that first goal, although the longer they go without getting the first one, you got to think that the American confidence is going to grow and grow, that maybe they're just not going to get scored on today.
48 wins, 67 losses for Chile in Copa America play. Keller parries that away. 22 ties. The U.S., as we mentioned, no wins, 2 losses, 1 tie, and a disappointing one. Was it a 3-1 lead against Venezuela? 2 late goals, if I recall, by Jose Luis Del Ghetto. And that kept the U.S. out of the second round.
They were actually up 3-0 with about 24 minutes to go. Probably the lowest point in U.S. soccer up to that point leading up to the World Cup.
A 4-0 victory against Mexico just weeks before this contest here against Chile. Dooley controlling, tries to get the return pass, however, little off target, and the Chileans whistle it across midfield. Off the head of Mike Burns, Marcelo Balboa moving over to cover. Opportunity for the cross, and Keller there to parry it away with a man right on the doorstep. Alexi Lalas tried to guard the 6-yard box, but Keller wouldn't let it past him.
Casey definitely seeing his share of action, probably making up for all those years he just wasn't in the back. I guess he figures he wants to see it all at once.
Ivo Basay moving down the left wing, and it looked like Marcelo Salas in the middle. Over Salas, never got a boot on it. Casey Keller's glove holding on tight. Tripped, kicking forward, no foul called, and Chile will send it right back in. Into touch, throw in for the U.S. about 35 yards from their own goal.
The one thing you notice about Keller, and he's been tested a lot in this first half, and he doesn't seem to get rattled. He seems to be very confident, something he's probably developed during his playing years at Millwall the last 3-4 seasons, and I think that's going to show in tight situations. Having a keeper that feels confident back there, it helps your defenders know that someone back there feels very confident in his abilities.
And that is very important because in the past, the U.S., even with Tony Meola, Brad Friedel, Jurgen Sommer, while they might not be giving up goals, if flurries like this are occurring near the goal area, you can almost sense people are looking at each other, pointing fingers, trying to figure out who's going where and why that just happened. With Casey Keller in goal, it seems like the U.S. is just shaking it off and worrying about what's going to happen rather than what has happened.
I think if you add to that not only Casey's experience, but the fact that you have a Balboa and a Lalas who now have played internationally.
Opportunity for Salas, leaving it for Basay. He'll swing it towards the left foot. Can't control, however, dropping it back. Estay to Salas, and a trickling shot over the end line.
You add to the fact that here's Casey Keller, who's played a few years in a top league in Europe, but add to that the fact that Lalas has just played a year in Italy, Balboa has played in Mexico, Sorber has played in Mexico, Dooley has just played in Germany, and you have a lot of experience right in front of the box and a lot of games that you can consider underneath our belt.
45 minutes gone. We are into injury time. The U.S. with a 2-0 lead. Chile has been pounding at Casey Keller, but he has been up to every single charge. Paul Caligiuri returning the favor, making Mendoza run back on defense. The flick into the box. Harksey running forward. John Harkes from Derby County will have to trek back. The foul called against the U.S. It'll be a free kick, and to tell you the truth, too many of Harkes' runs today resulting in that very same scenario, losing the ball late, and a foul against Chile with the free kick. The whistle blows. Less than a minute of injury time, but the U.S. with a 2-0 lead heading into the locker rooms at the half. A very good way to start things out in Copa America 95 for the U.S. of A.
I think this is a great opportunity for the United States to enter this tournament 2-0 up in the first half. I think this gives them a lot of confidence, not only for the second half, but looking into the next games they have to play.
Eric Winaldo with a couple of goals. One tucking it in on the near post from across from Mike Burns. The other a free kick from about 22 yards away. And the United States with a 2-0 lead heading into the locker room at the half.
El mejor fútbol del mundo. Si lo quieres, nosotros te lo damos. Prime Deportiva. El momento ha llegado. Prime Deportiva viaja por todas las esquinas del mundo para presentar lo más destacado del fútbol global. El deporte universal. La pasión de las masas. Fútbol mundial. Fútbol moderno, en Prime Deportiva. Primera en deportes. Fútbol mundial esta semana en Prime Deportiva. Prime Deportiva le ofrece fútbol de jerarquía y alto nivel. Al presentar el resumen deportivo de Goles por 2 con Cristian Bozo y Samuel Jacobo. Semana tras semana le brindarán los últimos acontecimientos de las ligas y encuentros más prominentes del globo. Goles por 2. Multiplica su interés por el fútbol a través de la poderosa Prime Deportiva. Goles por 2 esta semana a través de Prime Deportiva. En sus marcas. ¡Listos! Arranquen sus motores. Prime Deportiva les invita a la pista de carreras, al estimulante mundo del motociclismo. Velocidad, peligro, adrenalina. Disfruta del motociclismo esta semana en Prime Deportiva. Agárrate bien y no sueltes la soga, porque Prime Deportiva te brinda lo rudo, lo peligroso y lo excitante. Rodeo en Prime Deportiva, primera en el mundo de deportes. Rodeo esta semana en Prime Deportiva. Para competir al más alto nivel, se necesita la habilidad, la determinación y el deseo de estar con los mejores. Porque lo importante en el deporte no solo es ganar, sino competir. Prime Deportiva, donde se enfrentan los mejores. Tenis profesional en Prime Deportiva. Acelere su vida un poco siguiendo de cerca las carreras de automovilismo. Cruce las banderillas de la emoción. Viva el riesgo de la velocidad y las colisiones en la competencia de las carreras de autos. La victoria y la gloria comienzan en Prime Deportiva. Automovilismo esta semana en Prime Deportiva. Esta es Prime Deportiva. Usted ve la Copa América Uruguay 95. Hoy enfrentándose Estados Unidos versus Chile. Solo por Prime Deportiva.
Once again, tonight's rebroadcast of the U.S.-Chile game being brought to you courtesy of Prime Deportiva. The originally scheduled game of Mexico versus Uruguay postponed due to rain. And what we see so far in the first half of play here in only the second opportunity in Copa America for the United States is a vast improvement from 2 losses and then a tie and out. The U.S. now in their first game in Copa America 95 with 2 quick goals. And Casey Keller in the back keeping it that way. This is a game that the U.S. at this point easily has a chance to come away with a victory.
Well, I definitely think Casey Keller in this first half was the difference. If you didn't know the score, as I mentioned earlier, you would think that Chile was ahead 2-0. Unfortunately for them, they have not been able to put it in the back of the net.
Unofficial look at statistics. While the U.S. has 2 goals on the board, they only have 3 shots. 1 shot that was narrowly missed by Claudia Reyna, and the other one was called offside, so that one goes in the books. And in fact, they have yet to force a save by Marcelo Ramirez. Casey Keller, meanwhile, has faced 6 shots on goal. He's saved 5 of them, and that doesn't count the passes and crosses that have narrowly missed being headed or shot into the net because he grabs them just before they get into a dangerous area. Casey Keller is just as much of a story, if not more, as Eric Winaldo with the 2 early goals.
Yes, Chile has spent a lot of time in the U.S. box, and that's something I'm sure the United States wants to try to change in the second half.
United States taking on Chile in this contest, coming to you courtesy of Prime Deportiva. Once again, the originally scheduled Mexico versus Uruguay game postponed due to rain, heavy rains, as winter continues in Montevideo. For more information regarding the airing of the Mexico versus Uruguay game, which will be played tomorrow afternoon, call your local cable company for details. A reminder, the regular pay-per-view broadcast of tomorrow's 2 games will come your way as scheduled. A 6:30 start, Colombia against Ecuador, and at 8:30 it'll be Brazil against Peru. The U.S., with the points that they win here against Chile, will be eagerly watching the results of the 3 games tomorrow to find out what will happen in their quest to get to the quarterfinals this time around.
Yeah, watching the game and trying to gain any little advantage as possible against an Argentina, you want to know exactly what you need to do when you go up against the Argentinians.
Once again, the standings at this particular point with the U.S., Argentina had already knocked off Bolivia. They ended up with a 2-1 victory in that particular contest. The U.S. now with a 2-0 lead had the opportunity at halftime to go actually into the lead if they can hold on to a scoreless result on the Chilean side, because goal differential is the first step towards determining a tie, and the U.S., as we said, in good position. Whenever you can be in the same neighborhood as Argentina, you have to be quite pleased with yourself.
Well, that's one of the wonderful things about this tournament is the fact that so many teams are so close to each other in terms of the ability of play, and so many of the results end up being having the teams in a pack even into the last game.
Once again, as we mentioned, the United States leading by 2-0, but there were a number of chances for the Chileans early on. Take a quick look, and Casey Keller on the back post, grabbing hold of the cross. Once again, still putting pressure on, and a beautiful shot from Valencia, who has played a very good first half, robbed by Keller on the back door. A cross attempt by Basai, grabbed by Keller when it was off target, but Mike Burns, and reaching the near post, Eric Winaldo first, and Ramirez doesn't even get a finger on it.
One of the greatest things I think about this goal is the build-up, the passing, the timing of the runs, and a great run there by Eric Winaldo.
And a foul just on the edge of the box. Thomas Dooley taken down. 3 U.S. players around, and Eric Winaldo bringing back memories of World Cup '94, curling it right in the middle of the net, just under the bar for the 2-0 U.S. lead.
And I guarantee you that those thoughts were exactly what that goalkeeper was thinking. Switzerland, USA in the World Cup.
U.S. leading 2-0 at the half. And it could have been even later, despite some great plays by Casey Keller, could have been equalized, perhaps even turning in the other direction. So Keller great in the back, Winaldo great up front, and it's 2-0 at the half. The second half of play coming your way next on Prime Deportivo. Once again, Mexico, Uruguay, postponed due to rain, a courtesy rebroadcast of the U.S. and the Chile game, the first contest in Group C for both of those teams. Back with the second half of action right after this.
El mejor fútbol del mundo. Si lo quieres, nosotros te lo damos. Prime Deportiva. El momento ha llegado.
Of Uruguay, forcing the postponement of that contest. They will play it tomorrow at 4:30 Eastern Time, and we will be offering it on pay-per-view. To find out when your local cable company will be showing it, call them for details. But we will have our regular broadcasts with their regular setup tomorrow as Group B third leg action gets underway. Colombia, Ecuador, or make that Peru, Ecuador, and Brazil, Colombia. Once again, substitutes to start the second half. Coming out of the game, and a little bit of a surprise at this particular point, Eric Winalda and Claudio Reyna. Reyna did not have a very good first half of play. He was one of the lone front runners as Winalda and Stewart really came up from the midfield. Coming in their stead, Tab Ramos and Joe Max Moore, the German scoring sensation. But from the third division to national team play, this will be quite a test. Also a substitute for Chile as coming on, young Sebastian Rosenthal. Only 18 years of age. Plays for Universidad Católica, and many rumors have him heading to Europe, perhaps even to Dortmund.
Well, as you see in the games he's played in this tournament, a very skillful player, only 18 years of age. I could see where the attraction for the clubs is to pick up such a young player.
Mike Burns, a little bit of a gutsy move, letting the ball run on, does manage to win it and swing it over to the far side to Alexi Lalas. So some substitutes, have to find out. Yes, it is Fabio Estay exiting the game. So really what happens here for Chile, 3 front runners. A more standard 4-3-3 formation for the Chileans in half number 2. Pushing forward, Guevara gets the return pass. A nice touch for Rosenthal, parked in the middle of the park. And he'll drop it back. Opportunity. Looks like it might be Sierra entering the game, and in fact it is. So 2 substitutes for Oscar Gorta as well. Now midfielder Sierra, 26-year-old, plays for Sao Paulo of Brazil. So the young scoring sensation for Chile. Salas out of the game. So taking out a front runner and putting in a midfielder. So back to a 4-4-2. I think the substitutions might have been mixed up a little bit, but still the youngster out there along with the Sao Paulo player. While the U.S. has made a couple of substitutions, Eric Winalda, the goal-scoring sensation of half number 1, sitting on the bench, and a little bit of a surprise for Steve Sampson.
And that was surprising. At the time, we don't know if he's injured, but I would think a player that has caused that kind of problems for a team, you want to keep him on to earn the respect of the Chilean defense. Rather interesting why he took him out so early.
Many coaches have a little bit of a rule, and I guess you could call them the players' coaches, that basically if a guy has a chance for a hat trick, you at least give him a crack at it, but maybe he's trying to keep Winalda hungry. We'll find out. Offside. Balboa, the only defender back. Mike Burns chugging behind, but offside. That's one of the reasons. Quick check unofficially at the stats of half number 1 is a whistle to try and get the ball back in play just a little bit quicker. 3 offside for Chile, 3 for the U.S. 4 fouls on the Chileans, 2 against the U.S. 5 saves by Casey Keller, not counting the crosses that he grabbed just in the goal mouth on 6 shots for Chile. 3 shots officially for the U.S., one of them called off offsides, and 2 of them going in at goals. 3 corners for the Chileans and just 1 for the United States. Joe Max Moore down in the corner. Can't get there in time. A goal kick for Chile.
One of the interesting aspects that this game provides for the United States, it gives them an opportunity to learn how to play with a lead. Coaches a lot of times talk about playing knowing the score, and unfortunately the United States has not had that many opportunities in recent years to play with a lead and to play a different tactical game, but here they've had their second opportunity in a month, the first coming against Mexico.
Paraguay's to Valencia, taken away by Lalas, and they're going to say Valencia holding on, or the other way around. It will be a foul on Lalas and a free kick for the Chileans. About 30 yards away. Quick restart, and Mendoza backheeling it. Chile continuing to put pressure on, lifted up in the air, and Keller out at the spot to grab it.
Once again, the Chileans realizing that in the first half they had some success going down the right wing, and they seem to pick off right where they left off.
Pass intended for Basai, and as he cut in, Keller cut between him and the ball and grabbed hold. Once again, that does not go down as a save, but it could have been a goal-scoring opportunity if Keller had not been there. Into space, Stewart, double-teamed. Gets around one, tries to get around the other and get the cross off, but Margus knocks him down. Play on, says the official, as Guevara kicks it back up with the left. Valencia, he has been everywhere on the park today. 50 minutes gone in the game, 5 minutes gone in half number 2, and the U.S. with a 2-0 lead. Substitutions, as we mentioned, a couple of them for Chile just to reset. The midfielder is Stay coming out. The forward, Salas. The young forward, Sebastian Rosenthal, now on the park, is waiting to throw it in is Mike Burns. Other substitute in the midfield is Jose Luis Sierra.
You got to think, regardless of what kind of result Chile has in the Copa America, their future seems to be quite bright with players such as Valencia, who's only 23, and then, of course, Rosenthal, who's only 18 years old. Then, of course, you have Galdames, who's 21. So they seem to have a promising future, even regardless of what they end up doing in this tournament.
No doubt about it. And Marcelo Salas still just 20 himself. We've already seen his speed. We've seen a little bit of his shot, but to this point. The U.S. has been able to keep him scoreless. That'll stay the same now that he's on the bench. Rosenthal lifting it into the area. However, Valencia would have needed a jet to catch up with that one. Keller grabs hold. Clearance pass from the U.S. defense picked off in near midfield. He's still only a 2-0 lead for the U.S. Not totally safe yet. Rosenthal on the far side. Nice move to get past Caligiuri. The left-footed cross, though, does not find its way past the U.S. defense. They still can't get it out of danger, however, and it looks like it will be a Chilean throw about 30 yards away. They'll take it quickly. Back to Ramirez, who's played a solid game in defense. In fact, the free kick coming off of a set play. The U.S. has really not challenged since Claudio Reyna's left-footed shot trickled wide. Still have not forced a save on Chilean keeper Marcelo Ramirez.
And here we see something very interesting, that the United States in the first half was putting a high-pressure game on the Chileans, really making them work to try to get out of their own third. And it seems that maybe they've changed that tactic here in the second half. United States dropping back a little bit more and letting the Chileans dictate the play. Dictate the play to them.
Also, one thing we mentioned, Winalda coming out. A lot of people, supporters of the U.S. squad, wonder what will ever happen should a healthy Tab Ramos and Claudio Reyna end up playing on the same park on the same day. And we will not get the chance to see that as Ramos in. And still not an opportunity for those two to work their magic together.
Well, the wonderful thing for a coach is at least he's having a choice now. It's before, 10 years ago, you were trying to find players to play that had experience. Now you actually have to keep some players on the bench. So I think that shows how far we've come in the United States.
Nice move, pushing forward. Sierra, the substitute, tucking it back into space. Rosenthal not running. Instead, Keller is just in front of Ivo Basai. And I think that's one of the true marks of a successful keeper, is getting the ball out of danger before it becomes a save opportunity. And Keller has excelled at that today. Have not seen much of Ernie Stewart as he'll pass off to John Harkes. Stewart and Winalda spending much of the time on the flanks in the early going. Pass into space, but not far enough. The U.S. offense continues to sputter. Sampson on the sideline saying it's all right. Ramos probably would have liked it a little bit slower as he continues to look for an opportunity to regain center stage in a national game. Remember the last time he had the opportunity to play at full speed and full strength, the July 4th game against Brazil nearly a year ago.
Copa América, Uruguay 95.
Tab Ramos now with a nice move, getting it through Basai's legs and into space. No offsides. Joe Max Moore down the near flank. Tries to get the cross in, still trickling. Not over the end line, and Joe Max could have done a little bit better, but a nice move by Tab Ramos into space. A nice move by Max Moore to make himself available for the pass. Back to Valencia. Valencia swinging it over back towards the far side. That's Mendoza. Very active in the early going. Have not heard from him too much of late. The U.S. with a 2-0 lead. Mentioning Ramos, I don't know if there are many soccer fans who can forget that horrible sight of the elbow crashing into his forehead and knocking him into the hospital and off the pitch for nearly 6 months.
I think the sight they won't forget is not so much the elbow as the fact that seeing Tab's eyes just roll into the back of his head. Totally lost, not knowing where he was once he hit the ground.
Leonardo, the culprit, ejected from that game. Brazil did go on to win, though, 1-0. Pass into space, nearly hit a hard charging, looked like Ernie Stewart. Slide tackle, Joe Max Moore tracking back on defense. Paraguez tries to send it to the near side. Rosenthal back to the midfield, but can't get there in time. Steve Sampson over the shoulder of Mike Burns, yelling instructions to his young squad. And it still is a relatively young squad. When you take a look, Marcelo Balboa still has a lot of time left in his playing career, barring injury, and he's already over 100 caps. Paul Caligiuri, one of the older guys, as he nears his 100th appearance.
Caligiuri, of course, having a momentous career, having scored the goal that was heard around the world, as they say, that qualified the United States back in '89.
Here's an opportunity for Johnny Harkes. Harkes on the outside, once again loses control, and once again a foul. Harkes has had some opportunities on that far side, but still unable to do much with it. Seems like the U.S. has really had much more success sending up the defensive players down the flanks. For example, Mike Burns on that one cross, but with a 2-goal lead. Burns with much more of a defensive responsibility here in half number 2. A reminder, tonight's game, a rebroadcast of the first game of both of these teams in Group C. The United States missing again on a pass down the line intended for Tab Ramos. We'd originally been planning on providing play-by-play coverage of the Mexico-Uruguay game, but heavy rains in Montevideo changed our plans. That game will be played tomorrow, and we will be rebroadcasting that on pay-per-view. If you'd like to find out when you'll get a chance to see that important contest, the final game in Group A of the first round, call your local cable company for details. However, mention that this was a trip back in the time machine to better days for the United States. Those of you who might have missed it, the U.S. taking on Bolivia, a chance to clinch a spot in the second round just last night. Unfortunately, a 1-0 win for Marco Echeverri and the Bolivians means that the game coming up on Friday against Argentina ever more important. Nice pass intending for Rosenthal. Far side, it'll go over into touch. It'll be a quick throw in for Mendoza and the Chileans. Caligiuri coming over on defense. The quick throw in back. Valencia will curl it into the area. Rosenthal on the backside can't come up with the ball as it's cleared away by the defense, and Rosenthal volleys it into the stands, and the whistle had already blown for offside, and that should be and will be a yellow card.
Mistake of youth, as it were. One thing we see there in that exchange with the Chileans, you notice how many of the American players are inside their defensive third. It seems obvious right now that they have decided to let Chile come at them for the remainder of this half and not have that high-pressure defense that they had during the first half.
Mention that Uruguay seems to have taken quite nicely to the U.S. squad. Out and about, Alexi Lalas, Tab Ramos, Marcelo Balboa, swamped by autograph seekers. They can obviously tell they're in another country.
Yes, absolutely.
Although I guess Lalas probably nowadays is not that safe on the streets even of the U.S. of A.
Well, I would think that Alexi stuck out.
Long pass, Keller there to grab it just at the edge of the 6.
I would think that Alexi stuck out like a sore thumb in Italy, being as tall as he was and with that white skin and orange hair.
Buffalo Bill is what they call him.
Of course, now I think after his success in the World Cup and the fact that he got so much attention going to Italy, he's enjoying a lot of success and notoriety back in the States now.
Going on Letterman probably didn't hurt either. Clipped his beard.
I think that's what was the clincher.
It
right?
was.
The funny thing about that is when Letterman approached his face with the scissors, Lalas very gently said, "Be gentle."
I wonder if he got a free Slurpee out of it. Long pass up front for Vilches. The 32-year-old stops it before it goes into touch. We'll send it back up the other way. Banging it off of Joe Max Moore, and throw-in for Chile deep in their own zone. Not a smart move, perhaps, as now the U.S. will come up in pressure. Chile going without Bam Bam Zamorano, trying to put points on one way or the other. Ivo Basay has a lot of the attention of the U.S. defense at this moment. Salas had earned some of that early on, but he is now on the bench as young Sebastian Rosenthal enters the game in half number 2. Offside again on the U.S. Two quick goals by Eric Winalda and a near chance for Claudio Reyna, and that is the bulk of the U.S. offense so far today. The star of the game, without a doubt to this point, Casey Keller, stopping shot after shot. Mendoza dropping it back into the midfield, playing more of a defensive role, it seems. Here's Valencia. Laid off by Rosenthal, and just over the outstretched boot of Sierra. The U.S. trying to get it clear and does send it well across midfield. Tab Ramos looks like he's moved towards the center of the park up front. Similar role that Claudio Reyna held in the first half. Near side is Guevara. Moves across the midfield stripe, but Margus will head it back towards the center circle. Into the middle, Jose Luis Sierra, 26-year-old player for Sao Paulo in Brazil during his regular contract. Guevara does finally get the ball, sends it back towards the center circle as Chile basically playing field possession. About 10 minutes into half number 2, the long seeking cross cleared away by Bernsey. Back into dangerous territory, however. Rosenthal scores! At the edge of the 6, he blows through the defense, and Chile's cut the lead in half. Ivo Basay laying it off, and the youngster Rosenthal scores his first goal of the Copa America. Celebrations in midfield, and Casey Keller didn't have a chance.
Here we see a miss. Right here, a ball coming back. Rosenthal looks for the give and go.
And a backheel flick off of Caligiuri. Lawless trapped out of position, and Rosenthal. Keller looked like he thought he'd go towards the far post a little bit, but he would have needed to be Superman to stop that one.
I tell you, Rosenthal showed a tremendous amount of composure in that play.
And what about the backheel flick on the pass back from Basay, as finally we see a great offensive play, both by Basay and that man, Rosenthal. It's a 2-1 lead. What does the U.S. do now? I know we've talked about this before, but one of the most dangerous scores for a leading team is 2-0. You can get too complacent. Keller well out of the box to send that into the stands and making more friends.
2-0 is a very, very difficult score to try to defend, because if that team gets a goal and now it becomes a 2-1 game, if you've kind of been complacent, it becomes very difficult to try to turn it back on when you've given the other team an opportunity to get back into the game.
We've mentioned before that the first 2 or 3 minutes of a game, the first 2 or 3 minutes of a half, and of course the final minutes, very dangerous times if you're a defensive player, but just up there. 2 minutes or so right after a goal. What does the U.S. do? Casey Keller, his perfect score sheet now marred by Sebastian Rosenthal, and the Chileans are sure to keep the pressure up as the half continues to go on. 20 minutes in, 25 to go. U.S. looking for its first ever victory in Copa America. And at this point, almost playing a catenaccio, but a giveaway. And they're going to call either a handball on Joe Max Moore for pushing it forward. That's the only thing it could have been. And Joe Max not happy with that call. Following Eric Winalda's footsteps at Saarbrücken in the second half of the season, doing things that made people forget Eric Winalda, scoring almost on a daily basis. Long pass in the box. Mike Burns knocks down his man. Will it be a foul? The answer is yes, just at the edge of the area.
Joe Max Moore and Eric Winalda also very good friends off the field. I'm sure that Eric encouraged Joe Max to go over to that club, probably had some good things to say about it. And obviously, Eric Winalda looked very impressive as an agent for Joe Max Moore in that situation.
Esteban Valencia, dangerous opportunity. Casey Keller lining up a small wall on the near side, just 2 men. Valencia curls it in at the 6, and it's headed clear by Balboa. However, the Chileans keep the pressure on. Moving up, Paraguez, he'll send it towards the far side. Mendoza wins it back, sends it towards the box, and offside called yet again. And none too happy about it, Ivo Basay in the middle. The U.S., perhaps their best friend in this game, has been the linesman on the far side. Only once has that offside trap been beaten. And a very dangerous opportunity thwarted by Keller. Diego Maradona in attendance. In fact, even after the Bolivian game, as he went to see both games, the Argentina game against Chile and Bolivia U.S., had some very nice things to say about the U.S., saying It's no longer a surprise to see them play well, no longer a surprise to see them win.
And I think that's probably the biggest compliment you can get as a U.S. team, when people no longer are surprised when you play well.
Hard tackle, looks like it might be Sorber on the turf, and it will be a yellow card. Nelson Paraguez, the hard tackle, straight into the shins of the U.S. player. Second yellow card of the game. Rosenthal had one. Delay of game as he blasted through a ball into the stands after an offside call. This one more of the standard variety. Sorber back up and moving. Have not heard much from him today, but in his defensive midfield role, normally that's a good thing.
Normally they say if you haven't noticed Mike Sorber, he did an excellent job.
Guevara, the header, off of him into the corner in a smart play, banging it off of Tab Ramos. It'll be a throw-in for Chile. Deep in their own zone, the U.S. starting to pressure, though. U.S. would like to have another goal. Remember, goal differential, then goals for, the two top tiebreakers, and a little bit of breathing room would not hurt. But Mendoza sends it down as the Chileans look to tie. Does this ball have enough legs to get over the end line? The answer is no. Kept in play, but right back to the Chileans, and Sierra grabs hold. Joe Max Moore tries to win it back, but they'll drop it back to Ramirez. Ramirez will switch fields, and there should be some room on the near side for Valencia. He has played a solid game for the Chileans. A couple of cracks on goal and unlucky not to be on the score sheet as we speak. Headed down by Caligiuri. Opportunity for the U.S., but Chile dropping back in numbers. The long cross towards the near side. Ramos can't grab hold before the bedecked Ramirez gets out there. The sun shining into his eyes and wearing the cap, keeping his fingers crossed. It doesn't play a role. Dooley will try and put the pressure right back on. Dropping it to Ernie Stewart, deep in the midfield. Sorber swings it to the far side. Paul Caligiuri up from defense. The U.S. trying to play a possession game, and then Chile, high pressure, winning the ball back. Nice play by the Chileans, upsetting the U.S. flow. Here, once again, coming up, Valencia. Valencia on the right foot. Tries to get it across, over Keller and over everybody. Rosenthal at the back of the box. Could not get hold, and Dooley will blast it towards midfield. Dangerous opportunity for Valencia. We mentioned Caligiuri moving upfield, and Valencia had some room to wander.
The more and more you watch the second half, you really see that the Chileans were very relentless in trying to look for this second goal. And again, they continue to attack both sides. Nice
back heel by Valencia. Now to Rosenthal. Actually, that's Guevara curling it in towards the 6-yard box. Blasted high in the air by Lawless. Balbo misses the jump, and it's finally cleared out of there. Sorber sending it back across midfield. Balboa just a little off target. And the U.S. lucky to stay out of another goal-scoring opportunity for the Chileans. To tell you the truth, while the U.S. has a 2-1 lead, the Chileans, other than Casey Keller, have looked much the better team here.
Not surprisingly, and Casey's done an excellent job, and unfortunately for the United States, Winaldo's not in the game at this time. But obviously the tactical changes were more important than the personnel changes, because obviously the United States letting Chile come at them and letting them come into the half before they encounter any kind of pressure.
Hard tackle by Ramos and the foul. Chile restarts. Errant trap, and coming up with it on the far side. The United States, Johnny Harkes. Have not seen much of him lately. Dribbling it over into touch. It'll be a throw-in for the U.S. Phil Shane, Renato Capobianco bringing you live English language play-by-play coverage on Prime Deportiva's Spanish feed. In case you're wondering what's been going on, trying to keep you, those of you perhaps caught up in the World Cup, and those of you who perhaps have been soccer fans forever and have not had the opportunity to see the Copa America with English language play-by-play, we'll be providing that from the quarterfinal round on. For more information on how to hear the Copa America in either English or Spanish, and a hard tackle down on the ground. Javier Margus getting the card as Ramos is down and writhing. Looked like it might have been a little bit more, but at least a hard tackle into the legs. Ernie Stewart calling over the stretcher. And it looks like Margus might have gotten a red card. That will definitely hurt the Chileans, and he did. Margus's hard tackle on Tab Ramos has earned an ejection, and Javier Escagorta in the background is not happy.
This cannot help the Chileans in looking for their second goal, especially Margus, who really anchors that Chilean defense. But if you look at a replay of this play, or if you look at it the first time, he really sizes up Ramos before he leaves his feet and hits Ramos in the back of the heel there.
Rosenthal hurling the water bottle back into touch, and he's having a few words trying to figure out what this means for him. Will he drop back a little bit more in the midfield? And they are going to try and realign a little bit. But the U.S., to tell you the truth, has not put much pressure on the Chilean defense. And they've really been playing with almost 2 or 3 defenders most of the game anyway.
Well, this actually makes it a very interesting tactical situation because the U.S. does have speed up front. And if Chile has a lot of people pushing forward.
Stewart on the restart, headed high in the air. That's Ramos back on the pitch. A little bit of attendance from the trainer, and he seems to be okay. But once again, Javier Margus, the 26-year-old defender from Colo Colo, will now watch this from the dressing room, if he even gets the opportunity. One of the big controversies in this Copa America is the fact that if you live in Uruguay, good luck seeing the game if you're not at the park. Long, curling, left-footed pass up front, intended for Basai. Bounds into the arms of Casey Keller. He'll send it back the other way.
There have even been reports of Uruguayans going across the border to watch it on Brazilian TV. So obviously they seem to be staying away from the stands.
$45 for tickets. And that actually might seem like a bargain following the World Cup, but what they normally pay for regular season games with some rather good action, Peñarol, Nacional, 2 of the best teams in South America, $15, and they do not earn a lot down there. And there have been wide disparities in the attendance when Uruguay plays, as you see here today for the U.S. and Paysandú, a pretty decent return in the attendance figure, but there have been reports that some of the games being played in Rivera, for example, maybe only 1,000 people showing up.
And that you'd never think in a Latin country would be the case, especially in a big competition such as Copa America. But obviously attendance hurts everywhere in the world right now.
Mendoza has his pocket picked by Sorber. Once again, though, you do have to remember Uruguay, a big soccer country in the past and trying to rebuild its storied history, only 3 million people. South Florida has more than that. New York has 3 times that, and Los Angeles could swallow that in a heartbeat.
Well, I think half the Uruguayans live in New York anyway.
Oh,
so,
okay. That might explain it. Pass up front. Getting there first, Ramirez. No problem. Ramirez has not been tested since the second goal on the free kick by Eric Winalda, who now finds himself on the bench. Ramos appears to be okay. He was one of the substitutes, in fact, coming in the game early on, starting the second half for Claudio Reyna. So Reyna and Winalda are out. Ramos and Joe Max Moore are in, and here's an opportunity for the UCLA grad. Down the corner, drops it back, knocked to the turf by Ramirez. The cross towards the 6-yard box, and once again, might not be Catenaccio, but the U.S. is playing on its heels. A 2-0 lead is turned into a 2-1 lead, and Balboa sends it back to Keller, the man of the match without a doubt.
And we see here already what kind of tactical difference the red card has made. The United States is pushing up a little bit more, not holding at the top of their own box. They already are trying to take advantage of the man-up situation.
Ernie Stewart back into the midfield. Will tuck it into the corner for Tab Ramos. Knocked down again. No card this time. In fact, play on, not even a foul. Just about 15 minutes left to go. The Chileans on the danger of one of the bigger upsets in Copa America history. While the U.S. fans might know what their team can do, the nations of the world are still learning. Ramos towards the top of the box. Here's an opportunity and taken down. Play on. It looked like a penalty, but play on, and the Chileans dodge a bullet. A rare U.S. foray into the Chilean area, and they'll come away with nothing. Chile playing a man down, and the U.S. almost taking advantage. Nice move by Burns to cut in front of his man to steal it away. New England native, however, giving it right back, and you hear Sampson chastising from the side. Opportunity, Sierra sending it to the near side. Rosenthal can score from almost anywhere, but 35 yards away on the sideline might be asking too much. Ramos wins it back. Ramos between the two Chileans. the wrong end of a sandwich on that one. Taken down yet again. 3 times he's bit the turf hard. This time Guevara getting set to come into the contest for the Chileans. Rodrigo Barrera, and it will be a forward coming in for Esteban Valencia. Valencia had played a very good game but had slowed down in the late going, and they have stuck in a forward for a midfielder as they try and keep the pressure on Casey Keller in the U.S. nets.
Obviously, even a man down, Chile's still trying to look for that second goal. Even though Valencia's played well, Oscar Gorta thinking that another forward on the field is going to help his cause.
Of course, the question now is who will handle the midfield role. It appeared as though Valencia might have dropped back a little bit. Jose Luis Sierra had ended up coming into the contest and appeared to end up with much of the offensive responsibilities. Kobe Jones in the game for the United States. Mike Sorber coming out. Remember, he was struck by a hard tackle about 10 minutes into half number 2, just shy of the midfield circle, but kept playing on. But right now, a little bit of an interesting move, bringing in a front runner, a wing, and taking out the midfield equivalent of a central defender. This probably means Thomas Dooley will drop back, but at this point he continues to push forward.
What I think from a tactical point of view is now you bring Harksey in, who's another experienced player, along with Dooley to kind of solidify the center of the field, and it gives you a lot of speed on the outside because you got Ramos on one side with Stewart, and on the other side you have a Kobe Jones, so the possibility of counterattacking a team that's a man down are quite good.
And this, many people say, would be the natural position for Johnny Harkes. Plays a lot of right back when he played over at Millwall or at Derby County. And at times for the U.S. team leading up to 1990, playing a defensive midfielder role. We might get the chance to see it. Pass down the corner, and Ramos taken down again. Can't get the cross off. This one looks like it hurt. Actually, Ernie Stewart coming over, and he caught it on the shins. The U.S. gets a corner kick, but Stewart's still down. The trainer coming over to take a closer look. Chile a man down, and at least for the next few moments, the U.S. also with a man hampered. Stewart limps back onto the field. Ramos lines it up. Kobe Jones trying to block out Marcelo Ramirez, but only about 5'6", 5'7". Good luck. Does not control, however. The ball bounds over. Looks like Marcelo Balboa might have gotten ahead on it. Joe Max Moore sends it over the bar. Curling cross, and right at the edge of the 6. A nice job, actually, hitting the post. Joe Max getting his first shot on goal. Left unmarked. And out jumping the taller Marcelo Ramirez. Maybe that's how you score double-digit goals in Germany.
Let yourself be in marks inside of 7 yards.
Curling pass towards the near side. Mike Burns. Burns also can play that central midfielder role on the defensive side, but a beautiful move by Johnny Harkes to free space.
A lot of people feel that that's going to be the position you'll see Burnsy in the MLS.
The problem is with players like Sorber and Harkes, just too many numbers of that position if he wants to play. Pocket picked. Joe Max Moore tried to cut inside on a nice layoff. The Chileans keep the pressure up. Rosenthal coming all the way back across midfield to pick up the ball. He'll push it forward. Return pass for Guevara as the Chileans eating up real estate. Into the middle and taken back. Coming back on defense, Joe Max. Pushing forward. Kobe Jones running down the left side, and Joe Max Moore with a forearm to the chest. A foul called. A free kick for the U.S. just inside their half of midfield.
One thing you got to give Mike Burns credit for is his natural position is a center midfield role, and to have to learn a position at the international level. It's not like he can go back to his club and say, hey, let me learn this position. He's had to learn playing outside back in internationals.
Kobe Jones into the corner. Caligiuri on the overlap. Caligiuri lifts it in towards the spot. Blocked away by Vilches. Jones fighting for possession. Mendoza comes away. Still stolen. Back by the U.S. as they keep the pressure on. Finally cleared out of danger. The yellow card to Guevara for having a few words after that foul. Taken back, the U.S. Ramos can't put it into a dangerous opportunity. 2 against 5. The U.S. not putting numbers up, but at the same point, Ramos probably could have done better. Dooley dropping back more towards a central defensive role. Opportunity now for Rodrigo Barrera, the 25-year-old substitute. passing it off and just a little bit too far. The U.S. will send it back out of danger. Less than 10 minutes left to go. Could be a huge win. Mike Burns out of control, loses it. Nice move. Rosenthal cutting to the inside. He can shoot from there. Passes across the middle. Hark's called for the handball. Kicks it away. He'll have a word of warning from the referee. Rosenthal after the quick restart and a bump in the box. Might have been a little bit too far and play on, says the referee. The U.S. also not getting advantage on what could have been a penalty kick call, and the Chileans are arguing. Keller picks it off and will boot it back out. Just a shy time before this contest in the Copa America. The U.S. under-23 team taking on the Chilean under-23 team up in Oneonta at the Soccer Hall of Fame in front of 5,000. A 2-1 U.S. win. Might have been a foreboding of things to come. That's the score as we stand right now. The first game of action in Group C for both of these teams. Guevara sending it back towards the center circle. By the way, in that 5,000 crowd, opportunity to see Ante Rasov. Could be that offensive star that Steve Sampson's looking for. He scored both goals against Chile in that contest. Hard tackle on the far side. Ramirez play on. Rosenthal coming all the way back on the far side, loses it. Dooley with the nice layoff. U.S. getting a few breaks. Joe Max Moore almost getting one, but pushes it forward to Dooley. Let's see if they're going to call this advantage. No, they will not. It looked like they might have called advantage, and then the foul instead. They call offside. Barrera, he has not had many touches since coming on. Pass all the way to the far side. Mendoza coming up from the defense. Guarded tightly by Caligiuri. Lawless coming over to help. Actually, Kobe Jones on the defense. Curling it in towards the area. And it's chested over the end line. It should be a corner kick, but they might say it went off Basai. It will be a corner. Nope. Burns off Basai and a goal kick for Keller. Could have gone either way.
And actually, Burns doing a tremendous job there, realizing he's not going to get his head on the ball, but not allowing Ivo Basai a clear shot at trying to make contact.
You kind of wonder. Hank Steinbrecher putting a checklist on the board of much, talking in an interview on the day of the second U.S. Cup game after the 3-2 victory over Nigeria. Was asked what it would take for Steve Sampson to take the interim out of his title. Somewhat facetiously, Steinbrecher saying, well, maybe if he goes 5-1 in the next 6 games. And he said, well, maybe 4-1-1. Give him that advantage of the tie into this point. 2 wins against Nigeria and Mexico, a convincing thrashing. Deflected, coming up with it, Barrera into space, pushing it forward, and Keller right there on the doorstep. Guevara's shot straight into his gut. Then coming up with the 0-0 tie to win the U.S. Cup against Colombia. And right now on the verge of his 3rd win as the national team coach since the U.S. Cup started.
And I tell you, the results of the U.S. Cup couldn't come at a better time because the men's team had kind of floundered since the World Cup, had not had very many good results. But that victory in the U.S. Cup and winning the tournament is something that the men's team really needed as a shot in the arm.
Long pass up front. Basai knocks it down, looking for the handball off Marcelo Balboa. Play on, says the referee. The U.S. has dodged a few bullets of late. Ernie Stewart tucking it forward. Joe Max Moore up for Ramos, but right to the boot of Eduardo Vilches, and the 32-year-old Necaxa defender sends it back up. Rosenthal has been quiet of late. Coming to the near side, Jose Luis Sierra to try and help him out. Here we see the call for the handball. However, it was passed into him. Not really much he could do about that one, and play on, said the referee. And Chile could have argued for a couple of penalty kicks, but they're not getting any of them. Still 2-1. Rosenthal lifting it up, and a little bit too far in front of Ivo Basai. Here we see a little bit more full play, and looked like Balboa more protecting himself than anything.
True, I think that was just a case of incidental contact on Balboa's part.
The United States a 2-1 lead, holding the defense in place. Time starting to wind down. A 2-0 lead at the half on goals by Eric Winalda, somewhat suspiciously substituted at the start of the second half, and to this point the U.S. offense has been nearly non-existent. The defense keyed by Casey Keller. And the party continues in Paysandú. As we mentioned, they have taken quite nicely to this U.S. team. Rosenthal narrowly avoids a tackle to hold on to possession. Back to Guevara. He will pass it off again. Sierra dropping back into the midfield. Pass into the middle, stolen away. The U.S. looking perhaps for the third goal. A 2-1 lead to Ramos on the near side. Ramos, nice move, brings it to the right foot and blasts it into the signage behind the goal. Curled it on the outside, looking for the inside, and no problem for Ramirez other than how to start the goal kick. But a nice opportunity for Ramos and offside. Will they play on? According to the rule of law, he's not in play, and they will play on. The way the offsides rule continues to change, you have to wonder, officiating crew by officiating crew, how it's going to be called. Sierra. Joe Max trailing him from behind, almost fouls, holds on. Harks fronting him, but the pass goes to Rosenthal. Rosenthal with Green in front of him, taken down from behind. Thomas Dooley saying he did nothing wrong, but the tackle from behind, and some officials could have tossed yellow. But Thomas Dooley stopped the charge before Rosenthal could get a full head of steam.
Nice trait Rosenthal has is here's an 18-year-old playing in an important tournament. He wants the ball and during crunch time.
And when he wants it, he wants to go straight to goal, which is another thing that coaches like. Thomas Dooley realizing that, and it could have been much more dangerous than a 27-yard free kick, especially the way Casey Keller's been playing today. Burned once by Rosenthal. The youngster will try and do it again. Tees up the left foot, curls it into the wall. It's deflected. Pass towards the far side, towards Mendoza, but booted out of danger by the U.S. Kobe Jones will send it all the way down. And coming out of his box, Ramirez to try and grab hold. Eric Winalda's 2 goals in the 7th and 20th. A 62nd minute equalizer, or a 62nd minute goal that cut the lead in half by Sebastian Rosenthal. A nice backheel pass from Ivo Basai, cutting the lead to 2-1. Lawless high in the air to head it out. Mendoza almost totally forgetting his defensive duties, as the U.S. has not put much pressure on, but here's an opportunity as Jones eludes one. The speedy winger comes in towards the box and fires the shot. Pushed wide with the boot of Ramirez. The U.S. still holds possession. Jones with that speed, very dangerous, especially coming off the bench against a tired Uruguayan defense. Touch into the corner. Taken down, and Kobe Jones denied by the right boot of Marcelo Ramirez. A free kick on the far side, about 30 yards out. John Harks over to check his teammate. Joe Max Moore went down hard. Once again, this action coming to you from Paysandú, Uruguay. Frontier town with Argentina, which obviously has supported the Argentinians and seems to have taken on the U.S. as perhaps their second favorite team in this first round of action. And I guess their newfound allegiance will be put to the test in the final game of Group C, as the United States most likely will need a point, or at least to try and not lose too much against Argentina to have any hope to move on. Once again, another possibility as we take a look at Group B. Peru standing with 1 point. Ecuador with 0 points. Peru against Ecuador in the next to last game in Group B. That'll be the first game tomorrow right here on pay-per-view, brought to you by Prime Deportiva. A tie there, and that result would move the U.S. into the second round, so keep your fingers crossed.
I think it's going to be very interesting to see exactly how the United States come out, because if you look at what kind of philosophy Steve Sampson has, he thinks about going out and scoring goals. He's a very offensive-minded coach, and that may not be exactly what is needed. Remember, they need a point to go through.
About a minute gone into injury time. The U.S. still with that 2-1 lead. Kobe Jones on the far side trying to dribble out the clock. The U.S. on the verge of yet another big step in the development of soccer. 4-0 looks great, but 2-1 on the road in a big, big tournament for their first ever Copa America win could be just as large. The long pass towards midfield, and that will do it. The whistle blows, and the game has come to a close. Eric Winalda's 2 first-half goals stand up to Sebastian Rosenthal's lone tally in the second half, and the United States has knocked off the Chileans 2-1 in the first action of Copa America 95.
Versus Chile, solo por Prime Deportiva.
Bueno, por poco y la sorpresa.
Welcome back, Phil Shane. Renato Capobianco bringing you English language play-by-play over the Prime Deportiva Spanish feed. And once again, earlier today, in case you missed it, the Mexico-Uruguay game rained out in Montevideo at Centennial Stadium. Heavy rains have plagued Uruguay so far this winter. And if you had the chance to see any of the earlier games, that historic pitch has probably been plagued more than any other, as it has been waterlogged and torn up. And trying to preserve it for the final, they decide to hold off on that game. They'll play it tomorrow afternoon, Mother Nature permitting, and it will be broadcast on pay-per-view. To find out when your local cable company will air it, give them a call to find out first thing tomorrow. Now, a 2-1 U.S. win against Chile. I mentioned the 4-0 against Mexico. Where does this result line up?
Well, I think the good thing about this game is it shows that the United States can win on the road. More importantly, they can win in important situations.
Copa America 95, this is a result that the U.S. was not able to do in Copa America 93 in Ecuador. They lose 2 games, end up with that 3-0 lead that you mentioned when Venezuela came back to knock them out of the second round. This has got to look good in the history books and got to look good in Steve Sampson's resume.
Well, I think that you just add this game on to the 3 games that they performed in U.S. Cup, and it's a very impressive run of 4 games against quality competition. They've gotten good results against good teams.
Mentioned a 4-0 or 4-game undefeated streak that the U.S. has put together with U.S. Cup in this first game in Copa America, and it all started rather early for the United States as they put the pressure on, but they were helped in the back by Casey Keller yet again. The United States putting pressure on early, and we see the opportunity, however, for Sebastian Rosenthal with that second half goal. That did cut it in at 62 minutes of the game to a 2-1 lead. And here, not quite a good clearance from the United States. You see Rosenthal at the edge of the box, passing to Basai, and the cheeky backheel flick back to the youngster, and Rosenthal chested down, and with a volley into the upper net, Keller had no chance. Here an opportunity, Tab Ramos to Joe Max Moore, and the header off the corner, off the bar. The U.S. with one of their rare opportunities in half number 2. Once again, the pass inside, and Casey Keller right there, stopping Fabian Guevara, the 27-year-old from Monterrey. Robbed at the near post. Unofficial check on statistics, 3 corners to 2 in favor of Chile, 5 shots to 4. And there were also 3 saves to 2 as Casey Keller not quite tested. 8 fouls to 9 in what had been a rather clean game other than that 1 yellow card. The 1 red card make that. The expulsion is yet again Tab Ramos found a way to draw an elbow to the head. Also other action, 3 substitutes for both teams, and perhaps the surprising substitution of goal scorer Eric Winalda. But a 2-1 victory in the books for the United States. Once again, that would end up following the 1-0 loss against Bolivia, and they face an Argentinian squad that demolished this same Chilean squad 4-0 just last night. It's not going to be easy for the U.S., but they could get help from Uruguay against Mexico, could get help with Ecuador against Peru.
I got to think that the U.S. players are very excited about playing a game against Argentina that means something. They're playing well. They're playing a good Argentinian team. I think the players can't wait to get on the pitch on Friday.
We'll find out also who goes where. Remember, this is Casey Keller's turn. It's kind of like the good news, bad news jokes. Good news, Mr. Keller, you're starting. Bad news, you're taking on Balbo and Batistuta. But today, Keller the hero, and also helped out with a nice boot from Eric Winalda, the free kick, and also the nice run on the near post, tucking in Mike Burns' cross. So a 2-1 victory in the books for the United States, followed by the 1-0 loss against Bolivia. Tomorrow's action starting out with Mexico taking on Uruguay, and find out from your local cable company when that will start. A triple header of action on pay-per-view as Copa America 95 continues.
Copa América Uruguay 95 llegó a ustedes por cortesía de AT&T. Cuando se habla de calidad, gran servicio, ahorros y...
5 ya tiene a sus dos primeros semifinalistas. Esta tarde en el Estadio Centenario de Montevideo, la selección colombiana, tras empatar a 1 en los 90 reglamentarios, eliminó por penales a Paraguay. Y ahora se enfrentará a Uruguay, que en el partido de fondo le ganó a Bolivia por 2-1, con goles de Otero y Fonseca, que se lesionó en la jugada del gol y está en duda para el partido del próximo miércoles.
El equipo América del fútbol mexicano tiene un nuevo director técnico en la persona de Marcelo Bielsa, un argentino que llegara con un éxito muy fresco en el Newell's Old Boys de Rosario, en Argentina, y se incrustara con los mismos colores negro y rojo en el Atlas de Guadalajara, en donde hizo una labor de aparición de nuevos jugadores.
Este es un desafío diferente, un momento de mi carrera distinta, es decir, llevo un equipo distinto en trascendencia y en repercusión de los que yo había dirigido antes, y bueno, con todo el optimismo y con todo el deseo de que las cosas salgan bien.
Dice usted que es un reto, ¿por qué, Marcelo?
Bueno, porque yo trabajé en dos instituciones muy parecidas, el caso de Newell's, el caso del Atlas, donde hay espacio para un trabajo a largo alcance y proyectos un poco más largos. Esto exige, el América exige éxitos inmediatos y bueno, eso los diferencia, ¿no?, las instituciones. Y así que soy consciente de que vengo una institución que va a esperar de todos nosotros respuestas mucho más cortas y mucho más cercanas en el tiempo que las que uno puede planificar en Rosario o en el Atlas de Guadalajara, ¿no?
Se habla mucho del fútbol de Bielsa, un fútbol muy pensado, un fútbol muy estratégico. ¿Cómo lo definiría en el orden de espectáculo?
Fundamentalmente me gusta un fútbol dinámico, de movimiento, de constante participación, ¿no? Eso es lo que lo que yo voy a tratar de lograr aquí en el América, sin desconocer la necesidad de la espectacularidad, y que es, digamos, el rasgo de una institución como esta, ¿no?, que aspira a una ofensiva constante y a una pretensión de éxito constante, ¿no?
Ya está definido los rasgos de personalidad de este hombre importante. Ahora bien, ¿por qué lo de loco, Bielsa?
Bueno, tiene que ver con cierta firmeza, con algunas conductas, no es más que eso.
Cuando uno termina de escuchar a Marcelo Bielsa, se da cuenta que el América tiene una nueva personalidad y encaja perfectamente en el sentido de reorganización que ha sido una premisa fundamental en el Club América aquí en la Ciudad de México. Jorge Ventura, Deportes, Univisión.
Un desafío muy grande el que tiene Marcelo Bielsa por delante, él mismo lo decía, el Club América está premiado, tiene que salir campeón, no le queda otra. Marcelo Bielsa por lo general es un técnico que le gusta trabajar con las fuerzas básicas, acá no va a tener el tiempo para ello. A propósito de las Águilas del América, esta semana se reportaron Caluya y François Mambillic, regresaron de sus vacaciones en el África y ya están haciendo la pretemporada.
Bueno, ¿qué te parece, Andrés? Nos vamos a nuestra primera pausa y cuando regresemos, ¿qué tendremos?
Le mostraremos cómo los Pumas de la UNAM están en las playas de California haciendo su pretemporada.
Norberto Longo desde Los Ángeles nos habla de un héroe del boxeo mexicano, Marco Antonio Barrera.
Y más adelante los líderes de las grandes ligas siguen sin ceder terreno.
Haciendo pretemporada y algunos de ellos han